one of the things that I loved about my mom is how, she loved to sing, she loved to dance, and she was a very deeply spiritual person. And over the years, we went to various spiritual centers and churches, and Mom loved to embarrass me and sit in the front row and jump up and clap and sing loud with the choir. So we're gonna have a lot of that tonight. Without further ado, I'm gonna introduce my dear friend Phil. Everybody have their song lyrics? Yeah. All right.
Let's see, a while back, I caught up with Tess again, and, singing in bass, and I don't know if you guys know, if are familiar with, there's like a hippie church up in San Francisco called Blind Methodist Church. I have not all my life been a choir boy, but that way. And so it was a circuitous route, and I kind of met Tess on that route somewhere between points A and B, and when she found out that I was singing bass in the choir, she was really excited, and I think her mom went there a lot too. And so I'm gonna, this first song that I'm gonna have make you guys sing. It's a community song. All these songs that I'm gonna introduce tonight are community songs, and what happens is that, kind of do a little, prayer in the beginning of church. We're gonna have a little church right now, and so, we get up, and it's kind of a given that people know these kind of folksy, spiritual numbers that are kind of just running in the background of everybody's lives. If you're in any kind of urban, suburban, almost rural setting, they're kind of like American song, right? So, the first song I'd like to do, that's on the schedule, is "Woke Up This Morning with My Mind on Freedom." I'd like to break this into two halves. And I'm going to do a call and response. So maybe you guys can say, "I woke up this morning with my mind," and you guys respond, "Stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind. Stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind. Stayed on freedom. Hallelujah. Hallelujah." Try this again. Okay, you know what? I started you guys off on the wrong key, so it's this one. I woke up this morning with my mind. Stay on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind. Stay on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind. Stayed on freedom. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. What's the next one? Walking and talking with my mind. Stayed on freedom. Walking and talking with my mind. Stayed on freedom. I'm walking and talking with my mind. Stayed on freedom. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I'm singing and shouting with my mind. Stayed on freedom. Singing and shouting with my mind. Stayed on freedom. I'm singing and shouting with my mind. Stayed on freedom. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right, thanks. We'll get a little bit better.
Hello everybody, I'm Mark Zangrando. I'm a proud member of the San Diego chapter of the Deanie Hochman fan club. And I gotta say, this lady said, "Mark, I can't do this, I can't do the welcome." Honey, you did a beautiful welcome. Nice to meet you. Thank you. And I was asked to say a little bit about something that most of us do know, and that is that this lady, our buddy, is remarkably spiritual. And one of the things that turned me on so much is that her spiritual life was robust, alive, dynamic, and constantly evolving. And she used to get so excited talking to me about this meditation, what came out of her meditation, or a dream she had. It was one of those things that is part of her beauty. And I know that we would all agree that we're better people because of her. I really do feel that a lot of it was this mystical connection she had. Many of you know that she had this relationship with the Virgin Mary. But she also had a deep relationship with all kinds of spiritualities. And you're going to hear about that from the next speakers, as a matter of fact. But what I'd like to do is something, I'm so glad I'm in Santa Cruz because this is a crowd that can handle it. But she does meditation. And I'd like us to do a breathing mantra. A breathing mantra, because mantras have been around forever. I mean, actually a rosary is kind of a mantra. But when you do it with breathing, there is something that centers you and focuses you. And it's something that really got her excited and turned her on. It's Eastern spirituality, and I think it actually started in India. But what I'd like to do, and I talked to Tess about this, is to have a couple moments where all of us participate in this way. And this is what I suggest that we do. Inhale, hold it, and then exhale with a mantra. My suggestion is that the mantra would be, in any way that you're used to naming Dean, I'm going to call her Dean. Dean, we know that you are with us, and we will love you forever. But you call her Deanie, you call her mom, you call her sis, however you are used to speaking about her. Because you know she is here. So as we do this, notice any parts of your body that might be tense. Your forehead, your temples, your jaw, your shoulders, your stomach. Notice them and relax them. Dean, we know that you are with us, and we will love you forever. Dean, we know that you are with us, and we will love you forever. Do it at your own pace, and put her face in your mind's eye. Hold it. Dean, we know that you are with us, and we will love you, sweetheart, forever. Thank you all. What I'd like to do right now is the prayers of the church, the prayers of the Catholic Church that commit the soul to heaven. They're old-fashioned, but they're comforting and beautiful, and I'd like to share them with you. And at the conclusion of that, we're going to have everybody pray a prayer that's in your favorite prayer that's in the peace slip. We start in this way. Saints of God, come to her aid. Hasten to meet her, angels of the Lord. Receive her soul and present Dean to God the Most High. May God who called you take you to himself. May the angels take you to the bosom of Abraham. Dear Dean, into your hands we turn to the God of mercies. We commend you, our sister, in the sure and certain hope that together with all that have died with the Almighty, Dean is with God now, and we will join Dean on the last day. We give you thanks for the blessings which you have bestowed on our sister in this life, especially her daughters, her wife, her grandchildren, Maddie, and all those folks that made her as beautiful as she is. Merciful God, turn toward us and listen to our prayers. Open the gates of paradise to your servant. Help us who remain to comfort one another with the assurance of faith until we all meet God again and are with you and our sister forever and ever. May the angels lead you into paradise, sweet lady. May the martyrs come to welcome you and take you to the holy city, the new and eternal Jerusalem. Eternal rest grant unto you, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon her. May Deanie's soul and the souls of all the faithful departed rest in peace. Amen. Thank you. So let's open this up. One of the things that I was told, and I only just learned this, is that the first prayer that you see on the left, she loved. And she would pray this with her children, and Andrea, who's known her for 35 years, so many people knew this was a major part of her life. And it's a familiar prayer, the prayer of St. Francis, and it's about peace. What I'd like to do is invite us all to conclude this portion by together praying the prayer of St. Francis. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to console as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Thank you all. This time I'd like to introduce and bring up Andrea Sklar, who, as I said, has known her for 35 years. Andrea, please come forward.
I'm going to use notes because I'll be afraid that I'll forget. Given the task of talking about someone in a few brief moments who is a creative force of nature, larger than life, and whose love influenced and infused my being on such a deep level, it seems virtually impossible, as I'm sure all of you who knew Dean and or are going to speak understand. But I'm so grateful to be given this opportunity to speak, and will do my best to impart a little something about Dean that is meaningful to me, hopefully interesting to you, and honors the life of this incredible woman. 35 years ago, I came to work with Deanie at Ms. Desserts. One of my first potential customers was a man who rudely dismissed me and asked if we burned our bras or something, because we were called Ms. Desserts. But then he was told by a customer who was familiar with our products how incredible they were, and he asked me to come back and bring some samples and a price list. So I don't know what possessed me, but I put on my biggest smile and the sweetest voice I could muster up, and I asked him if he wanted my regular or my male chauvinist price list. He laughed, sort of, and he ended up buying desserts. And when I went later told Dean what had transpired, and understand I barely knew her then. I was on trial, sort of, for me and Ms. Desserts, and trying to sell desserts there. And she said, "Oh, honey, you didn't." And then she immediately burst into laughter. I knew at that moment not only that I wanted to work with Deanie, but that I wanted her to be my friend. Little did I know that she would become my very best friend, who, as she once said about me, as only a best friend can, got me on every level without speaking. She was the person who saw me fully, loved me deeply and unconditionally, protected me fiercely, and understood me best and lovingly pushed me outside of my comfort zone. Our friendship endured time and distance. Once I drove through the desert in what felt like the end of the universe to her and Happy at their amazing End of the Universe Cafe in Taos, New Mexico. And after Andy entered my life 25 years ago, we traveled on some of those adventures together. We wandered the streets of New York with her and Happy sharing our bed on the floor of their Lower East Side apartment with the beautiful and sweet Babar. And we drove in the pitch black with no directional signs and some very questionable, shady characters along the way to visit them at their home in San Felipe, Mexico, which Andy affectionately referred to as the Ponderosa. No electricity or refrigeration and a bit of the Wild West mentality. And everywhere we went, everywhere, it was not merely a visit, it was an adventure. Even when she came to visit us, because Dean's curiosity was great, her interest in everything and everyone so sincere, her love genuine, and her passion infectious. Whether it was a new class, a new concept, a new product, a new project, a new place, or new people. Dean immersed herself completely and authentically and took whoever was lucky enough to be in her path along for the splendid ride. I'd like to end by reading the last few lines of a song by Jewel, The Face of Love, that Dean actually chose to read 16 years ago at my husband Andy's and my wedding. She so beautifully and lovingly recited the whole song. It was long. Luckily, I have it on tape. Dedicating it to Andy and I, as it is about someone who has found their partner and is consumed by the love of that person with whom they are joining, hopefully for eternity. I think, however, it is just as appropriate for any two people who have found a deep and enduring love of any kind. And I think that she would have liked my reading even just a part of it. So, let eternity begin. If you were flame, I'd allow myself to be consumed completely. Were you wind, I would wish you passed through me. But now I know that the skin just veils the soul. For I have seen the face of love, the grace of God, the face of love. Thank you for loving me, Deanie, as only you could. Thank you for every magical moment, big and small, that we shared, many of which changed my life forever. And a special thank you to the love of her life, Happy, for sharing her with me and the world. That's not always easy. To say I will miss you, my outrageous, loving, intellectually inquisitive, creative, spiritual, courageous, funny, fun-loving, socially conscious, fearless friend, is an understatement. But you leave a legacy of love and strength, and I am beyond lucky to have had you in my life. I love you forever, your BBBBFFFFF, baby girl. And now, so I'm going to call up two people who mean a lot to me, and also to Dean. I'm calling one up, my husband Andy, and my brother is going to be with us via a iPad recording because he hurt his back. But anyway, he's okay. Just can't look right now. So if you'll come up on, that would be great. Great. No,
I'm the only one in this room that does not know how to use an iPad, so let's see. Thank you.
I don't know how to do
The picture
anything.
today.
Thank you, Andrea, for introducing me to this amazing woman so many years ago in Baltimore. Thank you to Sweet Happy and Dean's extraordinary family for allowing Mark and I to participate in this celebration of life for our dear, dear friend. Who could have predicted that over 30 years after meeting Dean, I would be living in Los Angeles with my partner Mark, an ex-Jesuit priest, trying to start a business. Unfortunately, this has never happened. But what did arise made us all richer. A friendship filled with love, good times, and lots of laughter with our Dobrats. And it all started during Passover at a Seder in Walmart. Because Dean was not even raised Jewish, and in fact, most of those who knew her did not even associate her with the Jewish faith. But in conversations with my sister Andrea, she would often allude to her Jewish ancestors and tell Andrea of her desire to learn more about and embrace that part of her heritage. In fact, according to Emma's research on Ancestry.com, Dean is 99.7% Ashkenazi Jewish. Surprising, because Dean's grandparents on both sides were German and Hungarian Jews. Though her parents chose not to practice Judaism, instead, raising their family as Unitarian, Dean longed to explore her Jewishness. She said to Andrea that she thought religion was swept under the rug as she grew up, and that she had been picking that rug up and looking underneath it for as long as she could remember. As I mentioned earlier, Dean attended many seders at my parents' home in Baltimore, sampling Passover holiday foods like my grandma's chicken soup, homemade chopped liver, and Andrea's roses, and often asking Andrea about certain traditions and the significance of various Jewish holidays as they arose, unlike the matzah. So, it is in that spirit that Emma, Tess, and Abby ask that we recite the Kaddish, a traditional Jewish prayer today. Take it away, my brother-in-law, Andy.
In the Jewish tradition, we usually cover our head with a kippah, yarmulke, hat, anything that you have. And so I shall do this in honor of the caps beating that. Oh, there's a red one out. So the Kaddish is the most powerful and most famous ritual for Jewish mourners. Recited for 11 months after the death of a loved one, it remarkably makes no mention at all of death or of the deceased. It is rather a statement in which the mourner affirms the justice of God and the meaningfulness of life. What would be more appropriate for Dean? It expresses hope for the redemption and ultimate healing of all suffering humankind. By extending the mourner's focus or preoccupation with his or her own tragedy to a more universal concern, the Kaddish elevates the mourner to a higher level of consciousness. Jewish tradition believes that the recitation of the Kaddish also elevates the soul of the deceased. So I will recite it in a second. Anybody wants to say along, this is fine. So it's in Hebrew. Actually, part of it's Aramaic, I think. So it goes like this. Yitkadah v'yitkadah shemei rabbah. Shema b'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich machutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael v'agolah v'zman chariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach v'olam olameya omaya. Yitkadah yisbrach v'yishtavach v'yishramah v'yisasei v'yisadar v'yitala v'yitala shemei v'kudisha b'richu Ve'elah min kol berchata v'shivata tushbechata v'nechemata damiram b'yalma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rab amin shemaya aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'yalma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael Maru, Amen. I'll make one comment about Dean, off my cuff, I think. You know, I don't know if you know, I'm a dentist, and I helped her fix up her teeth multiple times throughout the last 25 years. Anyway, but I think she gave back more to me than I gave to her. Every time, as Andrew said, we went to visit her, all four corners of the United States, Mexico. I mean, she would always say, "So what's up, Ann? What's bothering you now?" And she would just elevate me, my heart, my soul, and sort of my psychiatrist. So I always love her, and we loved to feed her in Washington. Ethiopian food, took her to the sports bar. She loved the hamburgers. You know, where she wanted to go, we were happy to take her. So we miss you very much.
First, I would like to honor our dear father, who's in Colorado right now, and very, very upset that he's not here. He was not able to travel here. He sent us, I'm gonna need more light. Maybe somebody can hold their cell phone up. Oh, it isn't so bad in my glasses. Wonderful. So he sent this, he spent a lot of time creating his story of his daughter. Memories of Dean. It is so hard for me to speak about my beloved daughter, Dean. I was bewildered by the coming of her death. On one hand, she and the loved ones who supported her had suffered for so long, and it was finally over. On the other hand, she was my daughter, and that spawned a host of vivid memories. I thought of when she was first born in 1946, shortly after I got out of the Navy. She was born in a hospital in Manhattan, where Peggy went by herself from Long Island by taxi in labor. I had to stay home with Abby, who was then less than 2.5 years old. Peggy's mother, Nana, was at the hospital. In those days, new babies and their mothers stayed in the hospital for several weeks. When Dean came home, we had a live-in nurse for several weeks to help care for the new baby. I was allowed to hold baby Dean from time to time. Things have certainly changed. Peggy and I delighted in our 2 little girls. Dean was a very smiley, relaxed baby. Once, she kept sleeping through the night until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. When, why, at a neighbor's urging, we woke her. Abby accepted the new regime reasonably well, though on one occasion she said, "Don't feed the baby." No. On festive occasions, Peggy dressed the 2 girls in matching fetching dresses, and we proudly headed out by bus and subway to visit Nana or my folks, Ruth and Meebach, as my father came to be called for some reason. The girls went to a local public school not far from our house. Once, I understand, looking for chewing gum, which was forbidden. The kids were lined up and asked if they had anything in their mouths. Dean, with a big wad of gum in her cheek, said, Nothing but my tongue. In 1952, a new phase in our lives began, and we headed in a great adventure, west to Colorado Springs. Dean was then 6, Abby was 8. First, we lived in an apartment on Van Buren Street, and then in a new house we bought on Pheasant Place to accommodate a new baby, Meg. I remember standing outside of Penrose Hospital with the 2 girls, Dean looking up, straining her eyes to see her new sister being held up to a window by Peggy. I can see her now. In 1957, we moved into the new house we had constructed on Terrace Road. Abby had the westernmost bedroom, Dean the middle bedroom, and Meg the last bedroom near the bathroom. John was born that year and lived in the middle bedroom upstairs. Of course, we followed all of their developments through elementary, junior high, and high school with great interest. Dean always cut a particular opposing figure. Dean surrounded herself with a galaxy of interesting friends. David Armstrong, Billy Nicholson, Brian O'Rourke, Andy Kolstad, Sonny Fawcett. Sonny, known quietly by some of her friends as Drip Drip, was Dean's special intimate. Dean was a great actress. She had a crush on the drama teacher, Mr. Barnes, which undoubtedly stimulated her. I remember her in the tea house of the August moon and Thornton Wilder's Our Town, where she broke up the audience by her delivery of a few lines. Don't know when I've seen such a lovely wedding, but I always cry. Don't know why it is, but I always cry. How do I remember that after more than 50 years? She acted in an Oscar Wilde play at Colorado College one summer. Once when Dean ran for student government office at Palmer High School, she appeared on the stage dragging a large borrowed St. Bernard dog and said, "If I'm elected, I'll work like a dog for you." Of course, she got more votes than all the rest of the candidates combined. After another boyfriend or two, she and Andy Kolstad became romantically involved. I understood later that Andy let himself into her bedroom through the window at night.
It's turning red.
After high school graduation, Andy went off to Columbia, and Dean went to the University of Colorado in Boulder. Dean used to get draft notices because of her ambivalent name. Peggy and I went up to see her acting in a production of An Wheels Thieves Carnival. The play was in a small theater in the Round, and we were sitting in the front row. About 1/3 of the way through the first act, I said to Peggy, "That's Dean!" She had so transformed herself for the role that we did not recognize her a few feet away. Dean and Andy were married in front of the west window in our house by my friend Judge John Gallagher. It was a big affair with many Colorado College faculty present, along with Dean's friends. Then they headed off for a honeymoon in the blue VW Bug we gave them. Dean went with Andy to New York and later with him to live in Escondido Village at Stanford, where he did graduate work, and then to DC, where Andy was employed. Dean delighted in their 2 daughters, Emma and Tess. She never tired speaking of their accomplishments. She was fortunate indeed to have Tess live nearby in the last years of her life. Dean had a very laid-back attitude toward motherhood. I remember on several occasions when some issue came up, she would say, "Emma knows best." Emma was then about 5 years old. In DC, Dean started baking in her kitchen, an enterprise which morphed into a block-long building in Baltimore to accommodate accommodate her company, Ms. Desserts. Ms. Desserts trucks, with Dean's big picture on the side, went up and down the East Coast selling their bakery products. But Dean had too big a heart to be a successful businesswoman. She always identified with the workers, not with the company. She did that with Ms. Desserts, with the coffee shop where she worked in New York City for a while, and with the cafe and restaurant in Taos, New Mexico. In Taos, I once saw a rather roughly dressed man standing looking at the counter with breads and cakes. Dean said to him, "You'd like something, but you can't pay?" When the man nodded yes, she told him to take what he wanted. And so it went. Dean and Andy parted company in D.C. I remember when Dean first brought Martha Campbell to our house to meet Nance, my new wife, and me. I can see them now sitting on the couch while Martha played the guitar and sang. Martha later changed her name to Happy, an indication of the joy of their relationship. Happy was the great love of Dean's later life. How infinitely joyous was their marriage after same-sex marriage was recognized. Nance and I delighted in seeing them together. They were mutually dependent. But Happy assumed an incredible supportive role when Dean started her long illness. Nothing was too much trouble for Happy. Dean appreciated that with all her soul. She frequently told us so. She would not have lasted as long as she did without Happy. Now my mind is filled with these and many other glowing memories. Dean was beautiful, she was loving, she was lovable, she was my daughter. What more can I say? Now I just have a very short thing of my own. Dolly Deanie. Are you sitting up there in heaven, all dollied up, watching down on me and taking care as you did since I am 2? My twin, my mirror, always mirroring my inner thoughts that I didn't even know I had. I had them all brought up and out for me to see, to dialogue, to laugh and cry. What a model for me. Teacher, friend, sharing parenting, grandparenting, the way to walk proudly, unashamedly through the world. Meeting Happy and walking with your head high, redefining family, modeling how safe it is to feel good, to think as individuals. These influences will carry on for generations to come. As my granddaughter Anna wrote after Dean's death, she showed me it's okay for others to feel afraid or anxious. No matter how sick she was present and attuned. I was never treated like a child. She saw people so clearly and had a talent for truly recognizing and validating individuals. I was alone with her when she was diagnosed. And remember feeling entirely helpless and feeling I was way too young to be dealing with this shit. And guess what? I still feel the exact same way. I'll love and miss her. And just a couple more lines. Who am I now? Separated from my mirror. A journey inside myself. Who is she? Wondering what the resources of myself are in a new way. Finding those spaces I have filled with work, food, and Dean herself. looking in the spaces where God belongs. Thank you, darling Deanie, for a precious life shared.
Sometimes you gotta get the really good guitar players. Okay. I was thinking maybe, we have on down by the riverside, we kind of have another call and response. And what we do a lot of times is we start off with a pretty good clap. We kind of start off like, this is not bad kind of tempo to sing to. And one thing the bass guys go is, they go, gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the river. Who's got the bass? Down by the river. One more time. Down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield. Who's got the down by? Down by the riverside. Down by the riverside. I ain't gonna study war no more. You guys remember that? Study war no more. 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 Two more verses, so okay, here we go. I'm gonna lay down my down by who's got the down by down by the riverside down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my heavy load down by the riverside down by the riverside. I ain't gonna study war no more. Study war no more. Study war no more. That guitar right there. Study war no more. Study war no more. Study war no more. On the two and the four, let's get some clapping. Wake up, my bad man's bird, down by the riverside, down by down by the riverside. We gonna back, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. All right, last chorus, here we go. I ain't gonna study war no more. 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 Study
I'm being Sister Meg. Often when I put my earrings on, these earrings in fact, I think to myself, Deanie loved these. She often noticed things like my earrings. Deanie noticed everything. She saw you. she listened to you. She believed in you more than you believed in yourself. All I can say is that I will never, ever, ever, ever forget the bright, shining spirit that is and was my darling sister Deanie. But I also have to, for a moment, honor another shining light. It is our Happy. Happy is and was the love of Deanie's life. Her deep love, her strength, her care for our mother, sister, daughter, auntie, friend, Deanie, nurtured and sustained her mind, body, spirit for over 40 years. Thank you, darling Happy. We love you. For many years, whenever I visited Deanie, she would make me sing for her. And this song was the song she loved and demanded the most. I sang it over the phone to her from New York at Christmas time this past year. I sang it to her again the morning that she died. In a way, she could be singing this song to us. It is called Fare Thee Well. And I hope I can do this. Oh, fare thee well, my own true love. I'm leaving the first hour of the morn. I'm bound off for the Bay of Mexico, or maybe the coast of California. Oh, fare thee well, my own true love. We'll meet another day, another time. It's not the leaving that's grieving me, but my true love was bound to stay behind. The weather is against me and the wind blows hard. The rain is turning into hail. I still might strike it lucky on a highway going west, but I'm traveling a lonesome trail. So fare thee well, my own true love. We'll meet another day, another time. It's not the leaving that's grieving me, but my true love was bound to stay behind.
You did it.
I'll do my best here. It's not possible to encapsulate who my mom was to me, what she meant to me, in a few words, or even in words at all. But I'm going to share some memories from her and what I've learned and who I am because of her. She was wholehearted. She was brave. She was enough. She was wholehearted. What do I mean by that? She embraced things all the way. There were never half measures with Mom. She saw the best in everyone and in every situation. It was always, this is the best damn fill in the blank I ever had. You know, life to her was a celebration, you know, an appreciation, a party. She'd love this. You know, birthday mornings meant a big bow on your chair, special coffee cake for breakfast, a dinner celebration. Holidays had special breakfast too. You know, she saw the best in every situation and taught the rest of us to look for it too. You know, what can I learn from this? How can I use it to grow and be a better person? She never gave up on anyone. Being in a relationship mattered to her. She would say, as part of being in a relationship, intimacy is so important in a relationship. And she would say, intimacy is into me see. She never wrote anyone off. She never stopped trying. In the all in, she would totally commit to something and stop completely, before deciding what piece she wanted to keep. No matter how much I tried to advocate for that middle path. Everyone felt they had a special, unique relationship with her, which is what was about her, is she had that special, unique relationship, and you felt so important. And she had that with everybody, which is great. She was brave. But I'm not sure she would have used that word to describe herself. Nothing stopped her when she had an idea. She was brave because she embraced the void. We all tend to fill the void, fill it with food, addictions, you name it. She called that filling the space where God belongs. It's hard to live there, but she did. Brave. When I'd go through a hard time, she'd quote me one of her favorites from Khalil Gibran. Pain breaks the shell that encases our understanding. Or she'd talk to me about how, getting your rough edges smoothed off does hurt. Because all of this was to get to that higher place, the place where she wanted to live. She never gave up. Brave. She was enough. Mom embodied unconditional love. She gave it to all around her. And it's what she felt she didn't have. That she had to bring the cookies. She always had to do something, do the extra thing. But Mom didn't have to do anything or be anything for all of us to love her. She was perfect as she was. She was herself, and it was enough. To Mom, all of us, we were always good enough. We didn't have to earn her love. It was always there, no matter what. Wholehearted, brave, enough. These were themes that ran through who she was. It's because of Mom that I have so much, that I look for the positive, for the opportunity in a situation. Well, at least there's, blah, blah, blah. But I'm learning to accept the damn compliment. I can hear her voice, Emma, your words have an effect on people, so I keep trying to be better. My husband's still teaching me tact. I use her as the role model for the listener that I want to be. Tell me all about it. I want to hear it. That I use her as my example of what unconditional love looks like. And I'll leave with one last piece of advice from Mom. I was telling Tess last night. Don't wear underpants to bed. Your body needs to breathe.
She walked in, tall, with short hair, a long jean skirt, and red lipstick. Majestic, mother. Mine said, don't be like her. But I did be like her. We were 12, me and Tess, junior high. We were together every day, often at her house, in a place called The Tears. It was a kingdom, a tiny, tiny kingdom, but a place of magic. It was full of chocolate chip cupcakes, the sweet sound of Happy's guitar, and Deanie reading the Bhagavad Gita. Me and Tess, we moved quickly between deep exploration of the Esprit catalog to deep exploration of the human condition, a teenage roller coaster. We fought like we loved. And Deanie helped us to get back to center. Anger is a mask for sadness, she would tell me. Tell the truth faster. It doesn't do you any good to wait. Deanie and Happy opened up a brave new world for me. There was new food. Hello, Moosewood Cookbook. New music. Okay, Sister Fire. New spirituality. Welcome, Guru Mai. And a new language about emotional honesty. Okay, Monster, you gotta take a break.
No.
Go see Mama. Go see Mama. Deanie opened her arms wide when I needed them the most. She held me at 12, at 16, at 21, at 27, at 37. 37. 25 years after I had met her, she held baby Olive and carried her into that kingdom. It was an extraordinary love. Reading Babar books, baking angel cookies, and singing folk songs. Her kindness, her wisdom, her excitement, and her great love of Happy surrounded my little Olive, totally and completely. She made an impression in that first moment, in that long jean skirt, that turned into a lifelong inspiration. To be like her, to love deeply, to tell the emotional truth, to be kind, to forgive, to know thyself, to wear lipstick, to be present, to be exuberant, to ask hard questions, to dig deep, to take care of yourself, to eat sugar, to drink spirulina, to watch great movies, to listen to incredible music, to bake, to grow, and to love some more. To be like her, to be like Deanie. Thank you.
So in a minute, I'm actually going to introduce Deanie is going to read a poem. We have a video. And while that's being set up, I'm going to pass out these mystery ribbons, and I'm not going to tell you what they're for. We don't have enough for everybody. We have like 40 in here, but I think people who want a ribbon wand, make sure you get one, and if you're ambivalent, pass them to the next person. Here. We're going to open up the plastic now because it's noisy. I hope we have enough for the back row. I think I blew it. Pass more back. Pass more back. I'm out. Anybody who doesn't want one, I want to bring some to the back. Are there any left over? Oh. Anybody ribbon? I know where one is. Any more? Becca, here. Now I have extra. 3 more. Okay. You know what? You take my in the interest of time, because we have a band that needs to set up very, like, any minute, let's all give it up and give our focus to Deanie. Okay, while that's going on, everybody, why don't you practice with your ribbon wand, sort of like, yeah, get it going. Yes.
Do you see how it can do these flip-flops? How it does like little... I've been hit. Yeah, like that. Round, round.
Party foul. We are gonna restart that video, so don't feel like you missed anything, okay? And everybody quiet.
My mother embarrassed the shit out of me. Oh dear God, Mom, wear some deodorant when you come to Parents' Day. Oh, I love my smell, arms outstretched, reaching toward the sun. I love my smell. Oh God, Mom, did you really say to the black Muslim when he inquired, "Pardon me, madam, do you speak to black?" Oh God, Mom, did you really say, "Not only do I speak to him, I sleep with him"? My mom collected green stands, placed them carefully, side by side. She got a set of shiny silver plates, and once a cuckoo clock. My mom went door to door saying, "Please vote for the Democrats. The Republicans are such fools." My mother put wine in the chicken livers. Such an exotic touch. But she did somersaults at parties with no underwear on. My mother embarrassed the shit out of me. I wish she was still here. We could turn somersaults together, but perhaps with underwear intact.
Oh no, that's Yes.
Make sure everybody knows they can take Dean's writings.
Yes, so by the door, my mom was a poet, as many of you know, many of you might not know. She was a prolific writer, poet, and my Uncle John compiled much of her poetry into this delightful book, so make sure to get one. Before we close and enjoy using these ribbons as they were meant to be used, I just want to say this poem means a lot to me because I loved my grandmother. I love that she did somersaults with no underwear on. And the first line of this poem, I don't know if you heard it, but she says, "My mother embarrassed the shit out of me." Yes. My mother embarrassed me when she would read her poetry, because I always called it her annoying poetry voice. You know, that voice people get when they're reading a poem, that voice that they do. And but she loved to read. Anytime she wrote something, she wanted to, I'd say, "Mom, I can read it, you can give it to me on the page." But she wanted to perform it, you know? And the truth is, you know, I would give anything to have her read me a poem today. So, in the spirit of what leads me to what's gonna happen is that when I was a pouting teenager, certain music would come on, a song on the radio, and she would grab my hand and force me to dance around the living room. And also, like, the art show, my piece, is of her dancing and somersaulting, because before she was sick, before she was in a wheelchair, she loved to dance. My whole life she loved to dance. And there were a couple of particular songs that she would always force me to dance with her. So I have that song queued up, but before we press play, I'm going to embarrass all of you thoroughly. I want you to fold up your chair, put it to the side to get ready for the band, and if you're too embarrassed, close your eyes so nobody can see you, okay?
So, yeah, I had a feeling that's why.
So, yeah, bring down, I'll set up a site and then we can
I gave mine up. That was for me. Cousin from DC.
That's okay. It'll change. It'll change. It'll all, you know.